Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. So today we are going to talk about how to have a better relationship with people. Well, to start a relationship is very easy. Anyone can do that. But to maintain that relationship to a long time and to have a healthy relationship is a bit of a roller coaster ride. So, our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us there are few things that you need to practice in your life to strengthen and make your relationship so much better. So there are 4 things. These are called Sanghavattu. They are the factors that strengthen our relationship with people. So when we are talking about relationships, our great teacher Supreme Buddha doesn't mention a specific kind of relationship, but he describes these qualities affects all kind of relationship. No matter who the person who you are relating to, if you practice these qualities, that relationship is going to be strong, healthy, and so much better. So what are these 4 kinds? Number 1, our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us you need to be generous. You need to have the mind of giving. So what are the things that we can give to people? There are so many things. You can give materialistic things like clothes, money, jewelries, or gifts. So when you are giving these materialistic things, people become happy. So in a relationship, no matter who the person is, it may be your girlfriend or a boyfriend, husband or wife, or your parents, whoever the person is, you need to give something to them, right? You need to give gifts. Not only the gifts, but our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us, you need to give your love, your affection, your care, and your attention, right? Don't hold on to these things. You should be generous in giving these things. So the first thing that makes your relationship so much strong and so much better is being generous. Number 2, our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us, you need to speak kind words, pleasurable words. Everyone who lives on this earth likes to hear kind and pleasurable words. So what do you have to do? You need to speak kindly to the people you are relating to, right? Speak kindly to your mother, your father. Speak kindly to your husband or wife or your boyfriend or a girlfriend. So when you speak kind and nice words, their hearts become so much happy. So what do you need to do? You need to speak kind and nice words. Be nice to them. Don't be rude to people. No one likes to be with rude and angry people. So what do you have to do? Speak kindly. And number 3, Supreme Buddha taught us, you need to have the quality of beneficent conduct. What do you mean by beneficent conduct? You should be willing to work for the betterment of the other person, right? So when someone sees someone is working for the good of that person, he becomes happy. That relationship will be strong and more healthy. So what do you have to do? You need to work for the betterment of other people. You need to help them by your actions, from your body. Do something that makes them happy, right? Do something that makes them feel happy and nice about you. So what do you have to do? You need to have the quality of beneficent conduct. And the final quality, this is one of the most important qualities that you need to have. You need to have the quality of impartiality. Simply it means the equanimity. You need to maintain an equal mind in ups and downs of that person's life, right? So many people break their relationships and leave people when they are facing hard times. So what do you have to do? Be with them, help them, be by their side and become a strength to that person when that person is down in that person's life, right? So if you can be with people and if you can maintain the same mind in ups and downs in other people's life, that relationship is going to be so much better and so much healthy. So these are the things that our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us that makes our relationship, interpersonal relationships, so much better. So practice these things. And also remember, a healthy and a better relationship is about two things. Number one, accepting the similarities of that person, and number two, respecting the differences of that person. So make your relationships so much healthy and better with the teachings of Buddha. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. We all know that letting go of the anger, letting go of the resentment is not as easy as we think, right? People might say to us, let it go, forget about it, don't think about it, and what had happened, happened. But the person who is in that situation, person who is really dealing with that person or that problem, only knows how difficult it is and how painful it is to experience that. But here's the thing, if we need to be at peace, if we need to make peace with ourselves, we need to learn a way of thinking and a way of dealing with these kind of people and these kind of situations. And that is why I need to introduce you to a way of thinking that Buddha taught us to do, to deal with such people and to deal with such situations, right? The reason why I needed to make this video is that the other day I was reading this sutra and I came across this one part of this sutra, which is I find really inspiring and really valuable advice from the Buddha. So first of all, let's take a look at what Buddha has to say about this. The Buddha says, one may apply to that person the fact of ownership of karma. Let's name this way of thinking as the ownership of karma. The Buddha says, this worthy person is the owner of his actions, the heir to his actions. His actions are the womb from which he has sprung, his relations and his protection. Whatever he does, good or bad, he will be heir to that. To remove the grudge or remove the resentment of someone, the Buddha advises us to look at their karma. Now, what do you mean by karma? Karma is the action, karma is the intentional actions that we do from our body, from our speech, and from our mind, right? Now, with these intentions, we create sort of consequences. The other part of the karma is called consequences of karma, which we call in Pali vipaka, right? So with this karma, there's one part called the vipaka. That means the consequences of karma, right? So the Buddha says, whatever the karma you do with intentions, whatever the intentional actions that you do, it generates its own consequences, right? So the Buddha says that if someone does actions with his body, speech, and his mind with an impure intention or impure mind, the suffering follows that person like a cartwheel follows the ox, right? So in that case, let's say if someone is hurting you, right? If someone is hurting you and hurting your emotions, so that person is doing that intentionally, right? With that intention, he generates karma. Now, if you consider about that intention, you can clearly say that intention is not pure. It is an impure intention. So with impure intention, what generates? Impure karma. And when one generates impure karma, the suffering follows that person. So when you look at someone who is hurting you, you can think, okay, whatever they do, right now they're doing an unwholesome action, So they are going to go through the consequences of that action. And whatever I do, right, how I react to that situation, how I react to their expressions and their way of behaviors is my karma. Now, do I need to get intervened with their unwholesome actions? Do I need to collect such unwholesome actions to my life, such unwholesome karma to my life? Then you can tell to yourself, I clearly don't want that to happen to myself, because I care for myself and I love myself. When you think about that, it's a great way of thinking about such people, right? So whenever you come across with a difficult customer, a rude customer, what do you have to do? Okay, you have to think, whatever the karma that they are going to collect is their own karma. And how I respond to that karma is my karma. So I choose to respond to this situation with kindness, compassion, and patience, and maturity. Most importantly, maturity is really crucial when you are dealing with such people. Okay, I always say to people that when someone is angry with you, when someone is yelling at you, be the bigger person. That means be someone who is bigger than that person's qualities, right? Be someone who has bigger patience than that person. So when you face such situations with patience and maturity, you can deal with such people in the correct way, and also you can let go of that anger and resentment with time, right? I know most of the time you will not be able to do this as quick as you want, right? Although you may need to let go of the anger quickly, it won't happen. But it's okay. Take a good time to let go of the anger by thinking like this, right? So let's say you are going through a difficult situation and someone is angry with you and you are angry with them, right? You hold on to this grudge and resentment in your mind. Then what happens to you? The more you hold on to it, who is the person who is going to get hurt? You're the person who is going to get hurt, right? Because there's a nice saying that says, it's a Buddhist saying that says that if you're angry with someone, right? If you're holding and you're hating someone, it's like holding a hot coal, right? Or red hot iron ball in your hand, and you're trying to throw it at another person to hurt that person. If you take a red hot iron ball to throw it to a person, who is the first person is getting hurt? You're the one who is getting hurt first, right? So in the same way, if you hold on to the anger, if you hold on to the resentment about someone, the first person who is going to get hurt is you. So when you understand this, and when you understand that self-care, self-love, self-compassion is important to heal, then you can let go of that anger. So this is the way to think about the person. Think in the perspective of karma, right? Whatever they do, it is their karma, and how I respond to that is my karma. So I choose to collect a good karma to my life by responding to that situation with patience and maturity. So I hope this idea will help you to deal with such people in the correct way. And I wish you all, may you be healthy and may you be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. From today's video, we are going to discuss about the idea about hell and heaven according to Buddhism. Now, before we start the video, I invite all of you to have an open mind and a mind of understanding throughout this video so that we can share what Buddhism teaches about the hell and heaven, right? So, in almost all the religions, there are teachings about hell and heaven. Now, you may be wondering whether there is a teaching about hell and heaven in Buddhism. The short answer is yes. Yes, there are teachings in Buddhism about hell and heaven. But it is very different than almost the other religions. Now, in almost all the monotheistic religions, the heaven is an eternal place, right? That means once a being is born there, they will live there forever. But in some religions like Islam and Judaism, the hell is not an eternal place. Eventually, they will be forgiven and they will be born in heaven again. But in Christianity, both hell and heaven are eternal places according to my knowledge, right? So this is basically the idea about hell and heaven in monotheistic religions. But in Buddhism, the Buddhist idea about hell and heaven is very different, because before learning about the hell and heaven, I need to introduce you to another important word, and that word is called samsara or samsara. Samsara is the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Birth, death, and rebirth. So the Buddha shows us that all the living beings, except from the enlightened beings, are subjected to this birth, death, and rebirth, the cycle of rebirth, right? As long as they continue this, as long as they are not enlightened, they will continue to be in this cycle forever. So according to Buddhism, there are 31 planes of existence. That means there are 31 worlds where the beings are born. And in each and every world, beings are born and they are subjected to aging. That is one intrinsic nature that we all carry in all throughout our lives, right? We are subjected to aging. And eventually the Buddha says that every being is subjected to death, right? And then they will be reborn. So it applies the same for the heaven. That means a being, when a being is born in heaven, eventually they start to age and also they die. So that according to Buddhism, heaven or hell is not an eternal place where the beings are born and they don't become eternal. They don't live there forever. Eventually they start to age and they die and they will be reborn again. Okay, so this is the basic concept about hell and heaven according to Buddhism. Now you may be wondering, who is going to judge who is going to heaven and who is going to hell? Now, according to all the other monotheistic religions, the God gives the judgment, right? According to their sins and according to their way of behaviors. But in Buddhism, the next birth is determined by various factors. Especially, it is determined by the karma. The Buddha says that when a person creates more wholesome karma, right? When a person stays away from killing and stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and using alcohols and intoxicants, and also when a person lives a virtuous life, an ethical life, he will be born in heaven. Okay, he will be more likely to be born in heaven. And also, if a person is living unethical life, right? When he creates unwholesome actions in his life, that unwholesome energy will lead him to be born in hell. But also remember that once they are born there, they are not going to live there forever. The place is not an eternal place. So that eventually they are subjected to rebirth. Again, they will come to some other worlds. So this is the nature of the Buddhist concept of heaven and hell. And also we need to remember that the ultimate goal of Buddhism is not to be born in heaven. Buddha explains how a being is born in heaven and what karma or what actions leads to be born in heaven and what actions lead to be born in hell. But Buddha never says that the ultimate goal of Buddhism is to be born in heaven. The Buddha says that the ultimate goal of Buddhism is to seek the liberation, to escape from all kinds of suffering. So this is the basic idea in Buddhism about the hell and heaven. So I hope you got some idea about the concept of hell and heaven in Buddhism. So I wish you all, may all of you be happy and healthy and free from suffering. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. In the past, there was an acrobat who was doing stunts on a bamboo pole, and he had a student.
One day, this acrobat called to his student and said, "Dear students, let's do stunts on bamboo poles and let's make a good living out of it." Now, but one thing that you have to remember, that when I'm doing the stunts, you have to protect me. And when you're doing the stunts, I'm going to protect you. In this way, we can protect both of ourselves and we can make a good living out of it. Then the student said, "No, sir, it's not the way to do. The correct way to do is that when you're doing the stunts, you have to protect yourself. And when I'm going to do the stunts, I will protect myself. In that way, we both protect ourselves and we can make a good living out of it." Now, the Buddha used this metaphor and this story to give us a beautiful message. The Buddha says, protect yourself from unwholesome actions, unwholesome thoughts, and unwholesome speeches. When you protect yourself as well as the others. Now, Buddha explains how to protect oneself. The Buddha says, practice mindfulness to protect yourself. When you practice mindfulness, you become more mindful about your actions, your thoughts, and your words. When you become more mindful about your thoughts and actions, then you can take control of your life. When your life is under your control, you protect yourself. And also, when you protect yourself, you protect others as well. And also, in the same way, the Buddha says, protect yourself by practicing loving kindness, compassion, and humbleness. When you practice these qualities, you protect yourself from hatred, ego, and jealousy. When you protect yourself from these kind of unwholesome thoughts, you protect yourself and also you protect other people as well. The Buddha says that no one can save us but ourselves. So we need to take control of our thoughts, of our actions, and of our words. So when we do that, we take care of ourselves and we protect ourselves. By protecting ourselves, we give the protection to this whole world. So keep this beautiful advice from the Buddha in your mind and be happy. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. We've all heard these words more than 1,000,000 times in our life, and that is to let go of the attachments, and then we will be happy. But saying this is easy, but doing this practically, it is really, really difficult. So let's discuss about what it truly means to let go and let go of the attachments and how to approach it in the correct way. Oftenly, the common perspective of letting go of the attachment is that people think that we have to let go of the things that we are being attached to. That means attachment is occurred by these objects around us. So that to let go of the attachments, we have to let go of the things and then we will be happy. Now, I have heard these people say that, oh, even the Buddha said that let go of everything and then you will be happy. But Buddha never said to let go of the things or let go of the things that you are being attached to. And also, the Buddha never said that you have to be attached to the things around you. What Buddha said is that understand and realize that one day you have to let go of the things that are around you. And also one day you'll have to be separated from the things and from the people that you love and like one day. And realize this and live with them. While living with them, you have to realize that one day this is the reality of my life, that I will have to be separated from them. These things are subjected to change. And that is the true understanding about letting go of the attachments. One of the misconceptions about attachment is that people think, oh, attachment is an object. So that to let go of the attachment, we have to let go of that object. But this is not correct, because if we have to let go of the attachment and if we have to let go of the things that we have been attached to, then we will never be able to let go of these attachments. Why?
Because as human beings, when we come to this world, there are so many things that are around us. There are so many things that we use, right? So if we had to let go of the things, then we will never be able to do that. Because even the body that we use is an object. Right? This is not something that we truly own. So if we have to let go of the things, then we have to let go of even our body. But we can't do that in reality. So that understand, the attachment is not an object. Attachment is more of a mind-related thing. Just look at these words from the Buddha. The Buddha said, "They are not sensual pleasures, the pretty things in the world. A person's sensual pleasure is lustful intention. The pretty things remain just as they are in the world, but the wise remove the desire for them." So what Buddha says is, just let the pretty things in the world stay in the same way. And you let go of the desire to wanting to them to be in the way that you want. Wanting things to be permanent is what we have to let go. How we should do that? We should understand that everything is subjected to change. Everything is subjected to impermanence, where we expect things to be permanent, and that is what makes us suffering. So then one can ask, if we let go of the desire, will we be able to enjoy the things? Now, here's the thing. The Buddhist understanding about desire is that it is the mental attachment. And thinking that these are mine, these are myself, this is me. It's like dragging a cow from its rope around its neck. Like the cow pulls to his side and we pull to our side. And what happens to us is that our hands get hurt. The reason why our hands get hurt is not because the cow is pulling to his side. The reason why our hand gets hurt is we are gripping the rope so tightly. And we are not ready to let go. And at first, letting go of the rope seems scary. Why? Because we think that we might lose the cow. The cow might run away. But in reality, if we simply let go, yes, the cow may run for a distance, but it will always come back. That's the nature. Even in the life, letting go of the attachments seems scary at first. But when we realize that in this life we have gained nothing and we have lost nothing, it is very, very easy to let go. The reality is that in life, we are not owners of anything. We came to this life owning nothing, and we are living this life owning nothing. So in this little time, we are just using these things around us. So we are not true owners, or we haven't gained anything. So if we haven't gained anything, what we have lost. So how can we train our minds to let go of the attachments? What we should practice? Now, the first step of letting go is to understand the true nature of life. What is the true nature of life? That everything, every experience, every feeling, everyone in our life is subjected to this inherent nature of change. We are constantly changing, right here, even right now. When you understand this, you understand that life is nothing but a bunch of changes. So that when these things change, that we have nothing to hold on to as permanent and wanting things to be according to our own wish. Because the life is undergoing even the constant change right now, right here. When you realize that no one, nothing, no feeling, no experience stays forever in life, or in other words, you cannot step into the same river twice, you realize that thinking about this life as permanent, wanting things to be permanent, is nothing but just an illusion of your mind. We are being eluded from our ignorance. That is what we realize by realizing the true nature of this change in life. It is something like this. Imagine you are going to a magic show and watching the magic show. As long as you don't know how to do the magic, how the magic is done,
then you get fooled by it. And as long as you get fooled by it, the magic is a magic for you. But what if we become friends with the magician and we learn how to do the magic? And then again you go to the same magic show and watch the magic show. Now the magic is no longer a magic for you. But still, you can watch the magic show, you can enjoy it, but you know how it happens. You know how it is done, so that you are not being fooled by anything. In the same way, when we realize that this illusion of our mind, that thinking about this permanent, thinking the life and experiences to be permanent is just an illusion of our mind, then you can enjoy the life, and also you can live life in a more wiser and a more experienced and a more matured way. So that is the way we understand about the attachment. This realization will make you more understanding about yourself and the world around you. And it will make you more easily enjoy this world in a more wiser and a more matured way. And also, by understanding about this constant change in your life, you let go of the attachment, you let go of this mind and the thought of wanting things to be permanent. And then the process of letting go will become much more easier. So understand that when we let go, we don't let go of the things. We let go of the mental and the emotional attachment towards things. We let go of that craving towards things, to wanting things to be permanent. And when you realize this, you can let go of this attachment and these expectations very easily. So that's a wrap for today's video. I hope you got some idea about attachment. So I wish you, may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you be happy forever. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever lied to someone? Well, I know what you're thinking about. You will say to me, well, what are you talking about? We all have lied, right? That is the nature of all of us. Yes, it is the common human nature for all of us to lie, right? I got this question from one of the parents who was visiting our monastery. She asked from me, like, my daughter has this serious bad habit that she always lies to me, right? No matter what she does, she never tells the truth. What's the reason for this, and how can I stop this? Then I asked from her, have you ever punished your child or scolded or yelled at your child just because she did a bad thing, she did a wrong thing, and she told the truth? She told you what she did. Have you ever done that? Then she said, yes, I have done it many times, that I have scolded and I have punished my child just because she told the truth, right? And I told her, this is the biggest reason why children lie. And this is the biggest reason that people lie, most of the time. People lie because they're afraid of the punishments, right? And also, people lie because they are being punished in the past, even though they told the truth, right? So that is why I always advise for parents and people. No matter who are the people who you're living with, they will do mistakes, they will do wrong things. That is the human nature, right? But make them understand, no matter what bad thing or what wrong thing you did, tell the truth. If you tell the truth, there will be no punishment, there will be no anger in it. If you tell the truth, there will be love, affection, guidance, and understanding. That is what we need to practice, right? People lie because they're afraid of being punished and being afraid of that hurt and pain. And also, one of the biggest reasons that people lie is because they're afraid of losing things. Okay, so if we can make an environment for people around us, for our loved ones, that there is this understanding, there is this love and care and guidance, so that they will always tell the truth to you, right? So I want to introduce you to this wonderful practice that we have in monks community, right? Because as monks, right, when we become monks, we get 227 precepts to practice, right?
sometimes these precepts are broken by ourselves, right? Most of the time it is because of lack of mindfulness or lack of awareness, right? Mistakes can happen. If we broke some precept, there is this practice called apati deshana. Apati deshana means if we did a wrong thing, or if we break a precept, what we have to do is we have to go to one of our brother monks and open up it, right? That means tell the mistake that we have done and tell them that I know and I see this mistake as a mistake, and hereafter I am trying my best to be disciplined, right? And the response from the other party is the most wonderful thing, right? The response always will be that I know and I see this mistake in you as a mistake. I understand that you have done a mistake. So from hereafter, you will be forgiven and you will be guided and you will get the help from the monks community to be disciplined, right? And that is what we all need to have in all of our families and people who we are dealing with, right? We need to have that understanding and guidance and love and care. And then people will always be truthful, right? Because people don't understand what are the bad effects and adverse effects of this lying. Most of the time people say, okay, I can say white lies, right? I can say white lies. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any bad thing, or it doesn't hurt me. Well, white lies do hurt you, right? Although you said it just because it is a small thing and doesn't hurt anyone, that is the start of a mistake. When you get comfortable with white lies, right, little by little you will get comfortable with big lies. So that is why we should not, that is why the Buddha said, when the Buddha defines that you should stay away from lying, when the Buddha said you should stay away from lying, Buddha never referred to any kind of colors of lie, or white lie, or red lie, or any kind of lie. Buddha said, be truthful, stay away from lying, right? So how can we understand this lying? The lying should be understood that the words that we speak with the intention of fooling someone, right? Putting him in a difficult situation and fooling someone, right? So these kind of words, we should not be spoken, and we should be always truthful, right? Being truthful in the beginning, it will a little bit hurt a little bit. It will be difficult a little bit. But being truthful has many, many benefits, right? So that is why we need to understand that lying is not good in any way, right? No matter it is a white lie or a red lie or any kind of lie, lie is harmful for all of us, right? If we can try to be truthful, if we can live our life in a truthful way, it will give you a huge satisfaction about your life. When you think about your life, how truthful you have lived, then it will give you a good sense of like happiness into your life, okay? So if you can create an environment of understanding, love and care and guidance, so then the people around you will not lie to you, okay? So tell to your children, no matter what you do, tell the truth. If you tell the truth, there will be no punishment, there will be no scolding, and only there will be love, care, and guidance. So keep this little advice in your mind and be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. We all know that forgiving is difficult, right? It is easier said than done. Now, even in forgiving, it is very easy to forgive for the mistakes that other people have done to us. But it is really, really difficult to forgive for our own mistakes, for the mistakes that we have done in the past, right? And so many people, most of us worry about the things that has happened in the past, about the things that we said in the past, about how we act in the past, how we lived in the past. And we get stuck in these mistakes and we waste a lot of time, right? But the Buddha teaches us a way to look at these mistakes and how to move on and how to move through them and how to grow through them.
So from this video, we are going to discuss about how can we deal with the mistakes that we have done in the past, and how can we correct them, and how can we deal with them. So I want to share with you how the Buddha advised for the monks who have done mistakes and how they got the advice to deal with it. So the Buddha says, Buddhissa bhikkhu ariyassa vinaye yo acchayang acchayato disva yatha dhammang patikaroti ayathing sangvarang apajati. The Buddha says, for it is growth in the training of nobles to recognize a mistake for what it is, deal with it properly, and commit to restrain in the future. So the Buddha says the first step of understanding and first step of dealing with a mistake that has done in the past is to accept it, to see the mistake as it is, to see the wrong thing as a wrong thing. This is called acceptance. Now, one of the most difficult things for us to do is to accept that we have done mistakes. Why? Because there is something that hurt us in our mind, right? It is a really big problem, and that is nothing but the ego. We always think, okay, we are right, we are correct, and I will never do mistakes. But the reality is, we all are humans, we all have imperfections, we all have defilements in our minds, so that we make mistakes, right? There's a saying that says, as long as you make mistakes, you are human. So understand, you're a human and you make mistakes, and the nature of your mind is to make wrong choices, wrong things, and do the mistakes. For that, you're okay with it, right? So that you understand the nature of your life, that I'm a human and I make mistakes. So you accept it. When you accept it, you don't hate yourself. Now the problem is not the mistake. The problem is worrying about it, brooding over it, holding on to it, and wishing that, I wish I couldn't do that. I wish I didn't say that. No, I wish I didn't act like that. So that we waste a long, long time, right? A valuable time that we can use to create something better for our life. So that the Buddha says, accept the mistake, right? Accept that you have done the mistake. Remember, acceptance is the first step of healing, right? Acceptance is the first step of healing, so that you don't hate yourself, so that you are not in war with yourself. Now you open up your mind to move on. So the Buddha says, see the wrong thing as a wrong thing, right? See the mistake as a mistake and accept that you have done it. So the first step of dealing with a past mistake or wrong thing that you have done in the past is to accept it. So after accepting, now what to do? The Buddha says, now reveal it to someone who can understand you, right? Confess it. How to do that? You find someone who can understand you, right? Who can give you a good advice and who doesn't judge you, and say to him that I did this mistake, right? This mistake was happened from me. Now, why should you confess it? Now, when you confess it, you're sharing what is inside you with someone who can understand you. Okay, there are many good things when you confess. One thing is that your mind becomes free, right? Because after doing a mistake, if a mistake had happened, one thing that keep criticizing us is our mind, ourself, right? So that understand, when you confess, you can free your mind, right? Your heart is not complaining you, so that you opened up yourself, right? That is one good thing that happens when you confess. And also, you get good advice from them, how to deal with it. Sometimes, for some problems, we cannot deal with alone, right? You don't have to deal with each and every problem alone, right? You can ask for help. One thing that it is really, really, really difficult to do is to ask for helps, right?
But if we ask it, the helps will be given from the right people, right? That is why the Buddha says, do not go around saying your mistakes to everyone, but find at least one person, right? We all can find at least one person who can understand us, who doesn't judge us from our mistakes, and also who can give us good advice. Okay, that is the good thing about having noble friends around you. Okay, so the Buddha says, confess it. Open up yourself to someone who is very wise and who can give you advice. And then the Buddha says, the next step is to take right actions to not to happen it again, not to make that mistake again and again. So the Buddha says, Yatha dhammang patikaroti, I think sangvarang apajati. To be restrained in the future, to not to do that mistake and not to make that mistake happen again and again. And that is why they say that 100 times the same mistake is regression, right? If you do the same mistake 100 times, then there is no development, right? But 100 times different mistakes is progression, right? We will do thousands and thousands of mistakes in this life, but from every mistake, if we take the decision to not to happen it again, right, and you learn from it, and you will make mistakes again and again, but you learn from them. Understand that every difficult situation, every mistake that you make in life is a great lesson. But the problem is, we think that we should not be making mistakes, we should not be doing wrong things, and we think that we will be perfect forever. But in reality, we are not. So that acceptance, confession, and taking right action to not to it happen again is the way to deal with the mistakes. Understand, as long as you are human, I will say this again, as long as you are human, you will make mistakes. Accept them, confess them, and then take right action to not to it to happen again, so that you can learn from your mistakes and you can grow through them. Keep this in your mind. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. If you were to choose one book for the rest of your life and to keep it with you and carry around wherever you go, what book would you choose? Well, for me, it is this book. This book has literally changed my life in many ways. And whenever I feel down, whenever I feel stressed, I take out this book and read 2 or 3 pages and I find the answer for my problem. Well, if you ask, and this book is very famous, that it is considered the handbook of Buddhists, right? Now, if you ask, what is the religious book of Christians? You can clearly say it is the Bible. What is the religious book of Muslims? You can clearly say it is Al-Quran. What is the religious book of Judaism? You can say it is Torah. What is the religious book of Hinduism? It is the Bhagavad Gita. Well, if you ask from a Buddhist, what is your religious book? Then they will say, oh, we don't have one book. We have an array of books. There are a lot of books when it comes to religious scriptures in Buddhism. But out of all these religious scriptures books, right, in Buddhism, this book is it is considered the handbook of all the Buddhists. So this book is none other than the Dhammapada itself, right? So Dhammapada has literally changed my life in many ways. So what is Dhammapada? Dhammapada is a set of verses that was preached by the Buddha himself. Now there are 423 verses in this collection, and it is divided into 26 chapters, each explaining different kind of topics like happiness, like violence, or loving kindness, or about the wise man, about the foolish, or about the Buddha, right? So it contains a lot of verses which explains about the life as well, right? And I would recommend that whenever you feel down, whenever you feel stressed, if you have this Dhammapada book with you, you can take it out and read 2 or 3 pages, and I'm pretty sure that you will find the answer for your problem, right? I have heard from a lot of my Hindu friends that they're using the Bhagavad Gita whenever they feel down, then whenever they feel stressed, they take this Bhagavad Gita and they read 2 or 3 pages and they find the answer for their problem. Well, for the Buddhists, in the Buddhist practice, I would highly recommend Dhammapada book to use as the handbook of every person. Dhammapada has a lot of advices and life lessons that they are wonderful. So let's take some time to read 2 or 3 verses and see how wonderful they are. In Dhammapada verse number 103, the Buddha says, "Though one may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 men in battle, yet he indeed is the noblest victor who conquers himself." So the Buddha says, no matter how much you conquer, no matter how much you battle in the battleground, the most difficult war is to conquer yourself, to win yourself. See how wonderful it is. In the next verse, the Buddha says, "Self-conquest is far better than the conquest of others. Not even a god, an angel, Mara or Brahma can turn into defeat the victory of such a person who is self-subdued and ever restrained in conduct." So the Dhammapada contains such kind of verses which gives you the inspiration or the motivation, the strength to build up yourself, to focus more into yourself. And also in Dhammapada verse 166, the Buddha says, "Let one not neglect one's own welfare for the sake of another, however great. Clearly understand one's own welfare. Let one be intent upon the good." So the Buddha says, no matter what happened, first of all, you have to focus on yourself, your own welfare. If you made your own welfare, if you protect yourself, then only you can protect others and help others in the correct way, right? So it helps you to be more self-conscious, more self-focused, and to build up yourself. In verse number 290, the Buddha says, "If by renouncing a lesser happiness, one may realize a greater happiness, let the wise man renounce the lesser, having regard for the greater." Now, I find this verse is so important and so inspiring, right? Because for me especially, when I'm living as a monk, sometimes I have found a little bit stressed out, like times where I feel down and stressed out. Right? Then I always think, okay, you're intending a greater happiness. You're going to achieve a greater happiness. Then you must be willing to let go of that lesser happinesses, cheaper happinesses, if you are focused on a greater happiness, right? In the same way, for the normal life, it's the same way, right? If someone is working towards a greater happiness or a greater goal in his life, then he or she has to let go of that cheaper happinesses, that daily cheaper happinesses that keeps that person away from achieving that greater happiness, right? So Dhammapada contains such valuable and inspiring life lessons, advices. So I invite all of you to take this book, buy this book, or maybe find this book and read it, right? So I will link down below all the links that you need to read this book. You may find some PDFs. You may find some online links that I will provide some online links that you can read. And also, if you are willing to buy the book, right, buy the hard book, I will link down some links for that you can buy the book online, right? So when it comes to Dhammapada, there are lots of translations. But the translations that I would recommend is, the first translation is by Venerable Acharya Buddha Rakkhita, right? This translation is very good and very precise. It contains very high level of English, but it is very precise, right? And also, there's another translation that I would highly recommend. That is the translation from my teacher, Venerable Kiribati Goda Jnanananda Thero. In this book, you may find all the verses in the most simplest and easy to understand form, right? So if you can buy this book, and these are the two translations that I would recommend for all of you. So I invite all of you
to buy or read it online or find PDFs and read these books, read this Dhammapada book, and then you will find a lot of valuable life lessons. So that is all for today. I wish you all, may you be healthy and may you live in peace. Namo Buddhaya.